Now that I have an equation, it's just a matter of solving that equation. So I'm going to multiply 7 times 30 to get 210. I'm going to subtract 210 from both sides of the equation to get 240. And then I'm going to divide by 8 and get 30. So his rate was 30 kilometers per hour, means the two trains were actually traveling the same speed. That's okay. It doesn't always happen that way. But my answer to my problem is that the passenger train traveled at 30 kilometers per hour. For the next problem, we're going to look at this one. Mark left the White House and drove toward the lake at an average speed of 54 kilometers per hour. Rob left 1 hour later and drove in the same direction, but with an average speed of 72 kilometers per hour. How long did Mark drive before Rob caught up? So I've taken the information from the problem and sort of set up my chart. Like I showed you on that handout, time, rate, and distance, and I filled in for Mark and Rob. Now, we know from the problem that Mark drove at an average rate of 54 kilometers per hour. That's given to me right here in the problem. I know that Rob left an hour later and he traveled at 72 kilometers per hour. So that's not... I'm sorry, that shouldn't go under time. That should go under rate. And Rob travels 72. And all I know about the time is that Rob left 1 hour later. So whatever time Mark drove, Rob was one less than that. So I'm going to multiply straight across and get 54 times x. And 72 times x minus 1. Now, what's happening in this problem is they're leaving from the same place, going in the same direction. Mark starts out, and sometime later, Rob comes along, and he's going to catch up with him. And the question is, how long did Mark drive before Rob caught up with him? Well, you can see here the two distances are the same. Even though the times are different, the actual distance that they travel is the same. So my equation becomes that Mark's distance is equal to Rob's distance. This is a case where we're doing this kind of formula where the two distances are the same. So now all I need to do is to solve this equation. So I'm going to subtract 72x from both sides and get negative 18x equals negative 72. Then I'm going to divide by negative 18 and get x equals 4. Now, whether or not that's the answer depends on what the question was. So I'm looking back at the problem, and the question was, how long did Mark drive? So I'm looking back at my little chart, and I had Mark was x, so that's my answer. So my answer is Mark drove for 4 hours. Now, the question could have been, how long did Rob drive? And then I would have just taken my 4, subtracted 1, and gotten 3. So I really have to look at the word problem to know if my x is my actual answer, or do I need to use that to figure out what the answer is.